Katie Yeung's solar-powered dress on the internet, and I kind of stalked her a little bit, and then I found out that she is an applied physicist from Harvard and has done some optical component work at Intel and is now doing a lot of fashion technology. So of course we wanted to hear what she had to say. So really interested to hear what Kitty Yeung has to say. Please welcome Kitty.
Thank you, Sophie. Thanks everybody for coming. This is a really, really nice crowd. And I see a lot of familiar faces. And thank you, Joe, for starting with a really cool talk. And I now have new ideas for my next fashion designs, because I play so much with lights, all different kinds of lights. And by the way, Sophie, did you check our birthdays? Because Joe and I have the same birthday, so I have to tell you. Did you sync on that? Okay, so this is the solar-powered outfit that Sophie saw on the internet. So that was pretty recent. I posted on Hackster.io. I'm wearing it right now. So what it does is very simple. You walk around outdoor, getting your phone charged. And I wore this at Maker Faire. Walking around, I was interviewing people and for Tyler and Hep for Make magazine and for the whole day, and my phone ran out of battery, and this came to the rescue, which worked great. And you can charge your phone, you can charge your battery. And it is made very simple. It's more of a design piece than a tech piece. So what I wanted to do is basically elevating the solar panel. A lot of solar panel embedded jackets you see in the market are just basically flat on the back. I don't know how effective it is. Or you want to face it to the sun. So if I do that, it's gonna look ridiculous, but I may as well go avant-garde. So I created this beautiful Victorian pattern based on the pattern on the fabric. So that's how I approach things. I do combination of art and design and technology, and I try to bridge the gap between those disciplines, because when you want to have a likable product in the market, all of these aspects are important. And this was actually my first build at Garage in Microsoft. So this is actually our makerspace in the Garage. I now work at Microsoft as the senior program manager at the Garage, and it's super cool. It's a big company, but we have a makerspace for employees because we want people to pursue their ideas. So we provide all the equipment for prototyping, 3D printers, laser cutters, and all those things. And we run hackathons, so people have cool ideas. They can actually build prototypes, and we actually have a way to ship them out as products. So I'm super lucky to be in this position, seeing all the cool ideas, as well as pursuing my my own technical interests. One being the tech fashion, the other is quantum computing. But today I'm going to talk about tech fashion. So my other title I gave myself is Creative Technologies. What does that mean? It's a combination of science, engineering, design, and art. Those are my passions, and it's hard to find a job that lets you pursue all of these. So that's what I try to do. And eventually, tech fashion is a perfect way to combine all of these. So I became a maker. From there, I created a few different things. This is a dress that uses the pattern matching engine and accelerometer on the Intel Curie chip. So this was built last year. It is a constellation dress. You can train the chip to recognize your gestures and actually memorize the gestures. And then every time you wave your hand in that certain way, a constellation shows up on the dress. So I have 4 different constellations. Big Dipper, you will see Cassiopeia, Orion, and Cygna. So this dress is actually right now at Kodame Art and Tech Festival being displayed. So we can take a look. So that's my very first build that you had to connect the USB while you train it, but now I have a version that you don't have to do it. So every time you plug in the power, you can set it to a training mode or a performance mode. So basically, if you want to train it, wave your hand 4 times, and then it memorize it. It would do the pattern matching. Thanks. So on the same Curie module, it has Bluetooth and gyroscope as well, but right here, I'm only using 2 components. It's a pretty neat little chip that does all those different things. And then I also use all kinds of other technologies. So for me, I don't have a particular focus of one type. I like to use all the latest technology to build whatever that makes sense. So this dress is a head-sensed reactive dress. So I was wearing this headset that senses your brain signal. Using EEG and Wi-Fi, you can control the patterns and colors on the dress. But that is actually a second iteration of this one. This is the earlier version that has my, I forgot to mention, this one has my painting on it from my graphic novel. It has a scientist and her robot looking into space. So on the sky area, it has the constellation. And now this dress has an earth painted on it, also my own painting. I call it the chaotic earth in the peaceful world. So I use a few different hardware. I started with the Arduino Uno, which is the simplest. You just send the different colors. But then it's so bulky, I tried using other types of hardware in it. So I went to Microdrino. This one is also using Microdrino, which is a stackable, layered microcontrollers you can put different modules on. This one is using the LilyPad. And now this one is also Microdrino. It has a flower that can open and close, but also a color changing dandelion. And this is Jupiter. Even though I really like playing with lights, I also think the mechanical ones are also cool. So this is the Jupiter, and I made the part of the storm rotate as I rotate the satellite of Jupiter, Io. So these pieces, those videos were actually from backstage clips of San Francisco Fashion Week. So I was at San Francisco Fashion Week in 2016, demoed 12 different pieces, all of them with my paintings on them. Half of them had microcontrollers embedded in them. The other half were basically multi-ways. So we won't play the whole thing, you get the idea. But the idea is that I use all kinds of technology to achieve my vision. And my vision usually is nature-inspired and astronomy-inspired, using my paintings. Every time I see a painting, I can already imagine an outfit out of it. So I would then add the technology that makes sense. Anyway, and a lot of projects are on Hacker.io, and I just opened Hackaday.io too. So my next project is probably going to be posted on all these platforms. And I really love the open source community because everyone's so open, and we share our knowledge, and everyone's so helpful, and we build our ideas on top of each other. We learn across the globe. So that's my latest one. And this one I really want to try using Joe's light sensor. Is a robe that has laser embroidered in it. How did I do embroidery of laser? It's basically an optical fiber that connects to light, to laser. So you can weave that very thin optical fiber into the fabric. And that is super bright. It's so much brighter than LEDs, so you can actually light it up during the day. But in addition to clothing, I also do a couple of other types of wearables. Like that one is the nails that lights up and changes color. That's actually covered in Make magazine last month, so April and the May issue. And that is a pair of goggles. So I was using this Adafruit LCDs that can change from transparent to opaque. But I paired two of them using Bluetooth. So this was kind of an experiment I want to do to provoke a new types of human-human interaction assisted by technology. How does that work? Imagine you have two people walking on the street, strangers, but you have the same fashion taste. So you saw each other, you see each other walking towards each other, and then, oh, you're wearing the same glasses, so you want to check each other out. Maybe your heart rates would match. Maybe you shake your head or do some gesture that would then flip the sunglasses into transparent. You can check each other out. So I think that would be really cool. That's like a real, a physical Tinder, say. And then I also did some embroidery work to embed the GPS tracker as an accessory. I also built a doll that's kind of a humanoid. And right now it doesn't do much. It is version 1.5. So it basically rotates her head. You can control it through Wi-Fi. But eventually I want to add cameras in her head and maybe speakers. And I want her to see, want her to hear, want her to speak and respond to us. Yeah, so, okay. Now, then I started having friends and strangers asking me, I like your design, where can I buy it? Are you selling them? Because not everyone is a maker. So out of curiosity, I wondered, how will I produce something? So what does it take for me to actually manufacture some of these prototypes into products? So it's not easy, but I managed to launch 3 designs last year. So this one actually has a lenticular piece that can change from full moon to eclipse as you change the angle. So these are on the internet, people can buy. But you asked, where's the tech other than the lenticular and the painting on fabric? That's kind of like the state of the art with what you can do in fashion industry. The highest tech is probably just having your custom designed graphic on the clothing. So it's really difficult to actually embed more tech into clothing. So I'm gonna show you how I did this first. I was trying to find a way to do manufacturing the most convenient and easiest way. So turned out there's a website called Sprout Patterns. It allows you to upload any digital image and to place the graphic on it with the right size and choose where you place different graphics on different places on the pattern. And it does a 3D rendering for you so you can see how they will look when it's made. Then you can actually have them sew it for you and ship you the final product. But you can also buy that piece of fabric and cut and sew yourself at home. So that's a super neat idea, and I really like that because as a designer, it's making my life so much easier. And I don't have to talk to manufacturers, I don't have to talk to factories, and I can just submit files online and I will receive my product. I wonder how nice would that be if we can do that for garment design in general. That is only doing the graphics, and the pattern is not mine. The pattern, I had to choose which pattern to use. So that's not really creative. What I want to do is actually have some system that allows me to also design that pattern for me. So a pattern, I can design it myself. So if I can upload that and the graphics, someone can manufacture for me, that would be great. But that doesn't exist. It doesn't sound right. The technology is there. No one's working on it. So you guys are smart, and we have a room full of software engineers too. I would love to see something like this in the market, and I will be your first customer. And that, I think, would drive a really long way and is gonna be $1 million business. And then I looked more into it. So what is the highest tech I can actually produce in that way? Turned out is 3D printing. That's the most mature manufacturing that you can do by just submitting a file. And I really love Shapeways. Because they don't ask you how many, they don't mind if you are only producing one at a time. If you really want to do your garments, currently what you have to do is to know someone in China. Because here in San Francisco, there's not an ecosystem. I've tried pattern developers in San Francisco, but the quality is not really as good as that in China. And in China, they have the whole industry built for doing garments. They have much better quality. But then they don't want to take orders if it is less than 10,000, say. But as a creative designer, starting small, you want to try your products first. You don't always want to order that many at the beginning. You want about maybe 100, that's it, and you test the market. They don't want to take the order. So much resistance. What if I have the same system for Shapeways? I can just submit a file, and then doesn't matter how many I ordered, they would do it for me, just based on the cost of the material. So I really love to see this kind of manufacturing process hacked into the garment manufacturing process. So I think there's a disconnect. People are not really looking at helping the garment industry to be more advanced this way. And what this can help is also helping the creative designers to get their designs to the consumers more directly. Right now, there's so much hurdle for a designer, for a D2C business, because of the garment manufacturing hurdle. And this is a cycle that's very important, but is kind of broken. Because for a creative designer, say, I want to have electronics in my clothing, there's not a manufacturer who's able to put electronics and manufacture the garment at the same time. What you have to do right now is to make the garment and make the electronic, and somehow you have to integrate them together. There's not a lot of factory that's able to do both. There are a few, but it's not really an industrial scalable level yet. And garment manufacturers sometimes do not like to take creative designers' work and build for them because they don't see the market. Even for me, I'm looking for like real high-tech stuff, but even for my fashion designer friends who just do pure fashion design with no technology, but they have very creative design of patterns, they have unconventional sewing method. They can't even do production because those factories would rather take order from a fast fashion brand that can let them produce hundreds and thousands of them than taking hundreds of orders of a more creative, interesting design. So that's kind of sad. And they want to see the market in order to do the business and create and produce. But then the mass population, the consumers, they don't know that they can actually have better designs. They don't see it. If the designers do not show them, we can actually make things that's much better than what you have right now. So there's a lot of disconnect in the cycle, and somehow we have to connect those together. And once we achieve that, we can give people beautiful designs at affordable level. Right now, like I'm showing a dress that's costly for special occasions. Basically, if you build any tech embedded clothing, that's kind of like that. Only maybe rich people or celebrities are able to afford it. But because if you want to build a lot of manual work, it's very expensive. If we can have things automated, like having a service for you to do creative work and not having the pushback from the manufacturer, that will reduce the cost, and everyone will be able to afford beautiful art. And another problem can be solved, which is waste in the garment process. Because right now, we produce fast fashion clothing, hundreds and thousands of them, and you see them in the shops, and they are just sitting there. They've never been bought. No one wants them. Eventually, they just become a waste. What if we can offer the opportunity to produce creative designs, and people can select them when they, at the design stage, then everything is backed by an order. You are actually not manufacturing anything in addition to someone who's already paid. So take a step further. What I really want to see is actually a mix and match of your garment. So I can cut the sleeve, collar, bodies, all separately. And people can select what combination they want. Just like how you do that with open source hardware. You select the modules you want, and then you create your own prototype. What if we can do this for garments? We can select different combinations and different accessories, and then eventually at the end of the pipeline, you can combine those. So all of these, when people want them, they already submit the order, and then when they are produced, they are guaranteed to be sold. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in this, but a lot of challenges as well. So I talk about the importance of functionality with aesthetics. Without either of them, it's not going to be a very useful or attractive product. Engineers tend to come up with a prototype that the technology is super cool, but it doesn't have the appeal. So it's kind of engineers forcing this high tech onto people. You have to design things that people will want. But there's a lot of research that has to be done because the technology is actually not that mature yet. Yes, the open source hardware are now much, much smaller than a few years ago. So we can start sewing them into the clothes. But they're still not the integral part of a clothing. So a lot of research, significant scientific research has to be done in the labs, inventing new types of materials, reducing the battery size, have more flexibility, have things that can be washed, and all of these. And that ties in with education too. It's not just about educating kids with maker stuff, but it's also about educating the public, and public can see you actually have opportunities to make cool things, can use the highest tech and afford the best art. And you need to educate the workforce to be able to have the skills to combine things that you do in the scientific track and things you can do in the creative track. So you actually have to have more integrated education system to produce people who have both sides of their minds being used. That also ties in with the open source. I really love the open source community, how we are running this, because it can really change the way of the economic structure in a way. We are sharing knowledge and we are educating the public, and we are helping grow this virtuous cycle between all these different areas. That's pretty much what I want to say today, and it's pretty quick, and you can ask any questions you have.